This is CampusLore Live, where NFL players are the experts on college football. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside Aaron Murray, and we have got a fantastic show for you this week. Our guest this week, a little bit later on in the show, is DeeJay Dallas, rookie running back for the Seattle Seahawks. He is from the U. That's right, the University of Miami. They have a huge matchup this weekend against number one ranked Clemson, so we will talk to him about that. But Aaron, it was the second week of SEC action, another great weekend of college football matchups all across the country. Let's just dive right into it. It was separation weekend. Who do you think the top four teams are after seeing some people really put themselves into that contender talk in the top five?
You know, obviously you got to start with Clemson. Clemson's just on a different level with Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, with ETN, that defense. It's going to be a great game this weekend. I'm really excited to watch them go against Miami, probably their toughest task this year so far. Yeah. And then Alabama is another team that's just complete. They got a great offense right now. Mac Jones has proven all the doubters wrong that say, hey, you're not Tua, you can't do this, you can't do that. And he's just throwing up stupid stats. I mean, I know it helps to have the receivers that he has and have Najee Harris, but the accuracy, the footwork in the pocket, everything just screams a very talented quarterback. And then their defense is stepping up and playing really well through the first 2 weeks of the season. For me, number three right now is Georgia. Maybe not as complete of a football team as those top two teams at the moment. But the offense, we'll see. Is if the offensive line can continue to progress and play well, if they can continue to run the ball effectively, they're going to be a really dangerous team, especially with that defense. And then my fourth team would be Florida, another team that is not completely complete because the defense is lacking a little bit, but offensively is really scary with Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and Tony and some of those other receivers that just it's tough to match up against those guys. And then I think you have to throw Miami in the mix right now. They're a team that's playing on a different level now that Derek King is their quarterback. So obviously I left out Ohio State. You know, I'm not going to put a team that hasn't played just yet. I'm just basing off of teams that I've seen and teams I believe can make a big statement throughout the season.
That was going to be my next question. Do you put Ohio State in your top four when they haven't even taken the field yet? We all know they're led by Heisman favorite or Heisman contender, certainly, quarterback Justin Fields. And I would think at this point, I know we haven't seen Ohio State yet, I would put Ohio State in front of Miami. I would. And I think I might even put them ahead of Florida also because of how inconsistent Florida's defense has played. Georgia and Alabama are in the top four right now. I know Georgia has question marks on the offensive side of the football, but they've got the best defense in the nation. There's no question about that. I don't think through 5 weeks or 4 weeks, however you count it, of this college football season, what they were able to do against Auburn this past weekend. And I know Auburn may have been a bit overrated in the trenches. Georgia looked elite, and the clear-cut number one is Clemson. There's no doubt about it. The Clemson Tigers are the number one team in the nation. They're going to get a quick test this weekend. I can't wait to talk to DeeJay Dallas, our guest, about that. Those are the top four or top five teams if you sprinkle Ohio State and Miami in there, Aaron. But the Big 12, wow, they did not look good this weekend. They may have played themselves out of this unprecedented season already. Texas goes down to TCU. They were a top-ranked team. And the main head-scratcher here, Oklahoma lost its second game in a row in Ames, Iowa against Iowa State. Aaron, I can't even fathom that Oklahoma is no longer in the top 25. They've lost two in a row. It's going to be tough sledding for them to make it to the Big 12 title game, especially the college football playoff.
I always joke that, you know, if you're a quarterback, why wouldn't you want to commit to Oklahoma? Well, now I just don't think Oklahoma is ever going to take a quarterback unless they're a grad transfer after this season. I mean, they've had so much success with grad transfers coming in, winning Heisman's, being a first-round draft pick or a second-round draft pick like Jalen was last year. And all of a sudden, you actually have a guy that committed to play the Oklahoma, and you start the season 1-2. So Big 12 to me, I think you got to put a fork in it. These guys do not deserve – already early in the season, do not deserve a shot to be in the playoffs. I think this should open up a slot for maybe a group of 5 team or possibly 2 SEC teams.
I know it's such a bummer, especially with the Red River shootout coming up this weekend. Oklahoma State, the door could still be open for them. They are undefeated. But you mentioned it, so did I. Our top four is loaded with SEC teams. After the break, we're going to come back and give you some bold predictions about how we think the SEC has fared through their first 2 weeks of action. So come on right back. You're watching CampusLore Live. CampusLore Live, Drew Butler, Aaron Murray in the fold. And Aaron, we're going to go to the SEC. They're off to a great start. A lot of good football. Georgia looks solid. Florida is impressing a lot of people. Tennessee undefeated and in the top 15. Then you got Alabama. I mean, of course, Alabama, a staple at number 1 or number 2. Nothing is normal about this season, Aaron. Seems like something crazy could happen. Tell me something crazy about the SEC. What do we know through 2 weeks of action?
I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Big 12. So I think they're pretty much eliminated at this point from the college football playoff. I mean, you said Oklahoma State's undefeated. We'll see. They haven't looked to me elite to start the season off. And we're going to have to see what the Pac-12 looks like when they kick off football as well. Is there going to be someone that emerges out of that conference that's just on a different level? So now all of a sudden, we're searching for a 4th team to put into the playoffs. I mean, the ACC is going to get one in. The Big Ten is going to get one in. The SEC is going to get one in. Who's going to get the 4th? Is it going to be a group of 5 team, or is it going to be an SEC team? 2 SEC teams in the playoffs again. I can see that happening this year just when you look at just the landscape of college football and you look at how deep and talented the teams are in the SEC. You know, obviously we worry about these guys beating each other up in an all-SEC 10-game schedule, but right now, a lot of confidence in Alabama, elite football team. If they can stay healthy, this is a team that's going to be a top 2 team heading into the playoffs. And then you look at the east side of the division or the SEC, you got Georgia and you got Florida. 2 very good teams, 2 very different football teams. Florida, elite offense, best tight end in the country. Kyle Trask, maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Defensively, I still think they're going to be fine. I think Todd Grantham has too many playmakers on that side to be giving up the points that he's given up. Georgia, best defense in the country, no question about it. Those guys are great at every single level. They can still run the football. They're finding more playmakers on the outside to go along with, with some of the studs they have. They just got to continue to develop their quarterback situation and continue to firm that up. But right now, those 2 teams, along with Alabama, could be in the playoffs. So I'm saying it right now. I think 2 SEC teams are going to be finding their way into the college football playoffs at the end of the season.
If they can withstand that battle of attrition, like you mentioned, 10 straight games in conference, if 2 teams are standing, I think you got a great chance to get both in the college football playoff out of the SEC. And if not, we said it last week, we are the official show of the Group of 5. I'm telling you, SMU fans, UCF fans, even though you lost, Cincinnati, we're carrying that water for you. We're going to help you fight to get into the college football playoff. If there's a little bit of an opening in the door, we'll push you through. You can count on us. What have I learned through 2 weeks of the SEC? What do I know at this point? I'm disappointed in the Kentucky Wildcats. Look, they were ranked in the preseason top 25, competitive against the top 10 Auburn team in week 1. They lost. They take on the Ole Miss Rebels this past weekend. Lane Kiffin and the Rebels get their first win in the new regime era in overtime. This week, they take on Mississippi State. Mississippi State was your week 1 national champions after beating up on LSU. They came back to reality last week and lost to Arkansas. Guess what? They're going to beat Kentucky this weekend. Mike Leach used to coach at Kentucky with Hal Mumme. I think he's going to love getting the chance to play Kentucky again. Put another win in the win column for Mississippi State. Then Kentucky takes on Tennessee, a huge rivalry game. Tennessee looks good. Kentucky loses again. Then they play Georgia. Georgia's going to beat Kentucky. Your Kentucky Wildcats are starting this 2020 season 0-5. Think about that. Think about all the hype they had, Aaron, heading into this season. Could they be a surprise team in the SEC East? Could they knock off Auburn in week 1? They wanted to play Alabama, and they're going to get to. That's 6 losses if you count that. Kentucky is starting 0-5 in this 2020 season. I don't think any Wildcat fans were expecting that one. Speaking of unexpected things, Aaron, let's talk individual players. Give me a few that have really stood out to you through the first couple weeks of the season.
Well, there's been some great quarterback play. I think offenses, to me, have surprised me a little bit. I thought offenses, after a kooky offseason and not a lot of practices, would struggle early, but we're seeing defenses really struggle to tackle. But I think someone that really has jumped out to me in the SEC is Matt Corral, quarterback for Ole Miss. You're talking about a guy that we weren't sure was going to be the starting quarterback. Was it going to be John Rice Plumlee? He took over the job, and he's really shown a great understanding of Lane Kiffin's offense. 7 touchdowns, 1 pick that was off a tip ball against Florida, but been really accurate, about 75% completion. And he's actually used his legs really well, too. I mean, we think John Rice Plumlee is the runner. Matt Corral's done a great job throwing and running. Big win this past weekend. To me, really impressive. If they could find a defense, this team could be a lot of fun to watch this entire season. It's still going to be a lot of fun to watch because they're going to be putting up a ton of points and giving up a ton of points as well.
Call me a homer on this one, but I think it could end up being one of the best stories in college football if it stays on this track. I got to go with Stetson Bennett from Georgia. He comes in the second half after Georgia was losing 7-5 at Arkansas in week 1, and Georgia comes back and wins 37-10. This past weekend against a top 10 Auburn team, he led the Dogs to a 27-6 victory. Since he took the field, Aaron, Stetson Bennett has led Georgia to outscore their teams 62-9. That is a great story. This kid is a former walk-on. He left to go to JUCO to get some reps. He came back to Georgia. They tried to bury him on the depth chart, and today I saw him on a Heisman list. That's right. Do not get it twisted. He is getting some love after 2 great performances to kick off this season. And next, we're going to welcome in our guest. He's rookie running back with the Seattle Seahawks from the U. DeeJay Dallas joins us right after the break. So come on right back. You're watching CampusLore Live.
Welcome back into CampusLore Live. We got a special guest, former Miami Hurricane running back, currently with the Seattle Seahawks, 4th-round pick in this past year's NFL draft, DeeJay Dallas. DeeJay, thanks for joining us here today.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm glad to be here.
It's a big week for your Hurricanes, man. They've been probably one of the surprise teams in the country. I'm sure you're not too surprised because you kind of know the roster better than anyone else, but they've been rolling here to start the season off. Kind of talk about what you've seen from your boys down there in South Florida.
It's no surprise to me, man. They're doing it. They're doing it. They have a quarterback, a capable leader, and I'm just proud of those guys, man. I know we worked hard last year, but they seem like they came out of this quarantine off season smoking, man. They look good.
I'm with you, man. If you don't have a guy back there calling the shots and leading teams in the off season, especially a kooky off season like we have right now, and then kind of throughout the season, especially in a better ACC this season. Talk about just the roller coaster and the carousel of quarterbacks that you had to deal with and how hard it is. I mean, we talk about that position being kind of the, like you said, the leader of the group, leader of the football team. When you got 2 or 3 guys rotating in and out every single week, how hard is it for that locker room to kind of rally around someone?
I like consistency and stability. And just not having a guy that the coaches trusted and then the locker room didn't trust. I like to think a lot of things happen for a reason, and I'm glad I went through that just because now I feel like I was kind of a pillar guy, like a foundational guy for what is the Miami Hurricanes now.
Miami's always kind of been known for athletes. I'm from Florida. I'm from Tampa. I had a bunch of buddies go down there, and I always say it. I mean, it's true. You know it. There's just so many athletes down there in South Florida. There's so many athletes on that Miami Hurricane football team. When you guys lost some of the games, I actually covered your games last year, the one versus FIU in the baseball stadium. It was kind of sweet being there. But how frustrating was it to know that, like, man, we are so much better. We're so much more athletic and talented than some of these teams, and we just weren't putting it together.
That was my last game as a Miami Hurricane. That was the last time I suited up. I loved our coaches. Our coaches were dang good, but everybody just wasn't bought in 100%. And if you don't have 100% buy-in, you can't really get stuff done.
Let's jump forward to this weekend a little bit. It's a big game, and I don't think anyone 2 months ago would have thought that, okay, Miami, Clemson's going to be on prime time, game day, all that good stuff. Like they're saying, hey, Clemson's just going to roll through the ACC. And who knows, maybe they will, but this is a great Clemson team with Trevor Lawrence as quarterback. But like I said at the beginning of the interview, I think Miami right now may be the hottest team in the country, or one of the hottest teams in the country. There's just so much energy. Derek King's playing well. They got some playmakers. And then the defense is stepping up and doing their thing on that side as well. Are they good enough to keep up with Trevor Lawrence and Clemson?
This team, man, I think this is the team to do it. This is the team to knock Clemson off. This is the team to go to the playoffs and win it all. Seeing them go melee freaking FSU, man, it was a beautiful sight, you know? And that's how Miami's supposed to look. They looked explosive. The defense is looking as good as any defense in the country. You remember the times where Bama was winning all of those national championships and then they kind of fell off. Maybe Clemson lose one. They drop a game to Miami and then they'll drop another game. I feel like these guys at Miami now, they don't see Clemson as a juggernaut. They see Clemson as just another opportunity.
Going back to your FSU comment, I'm sure you love those boys just playing terrible this year. It's been kind of ugly to watch what's going on in Tallahassee. So I bet that puts a big smile on your face. They got some work to do right now. Your former head coach Manny Diaz. You talk about Miami having a chance to be a playoff team, to win it all. Is he that kind of head coach that can lead that team?
He's fixed what everybody was thinking that his weaknesses were. Like he made changes. Like he learned from his first year. His strengths are just him being a player's coach. He's a guy that players. He listens to his locker room and he knows how his players operate. And he's a coach that's built around competition.
The ACC has been kind of given some slack these past few years. It's kind of been Clemson the lead dog, and you know, we're both excited to see if Miami can take him down this weekend. But you look around the country right now, and the Big 12. I don't know how much you're following college football, but Big 12 has been struggling. SEC is going to be SEC. We'll see what the Big 10 looks like in the Pac-12. But I don't know. You look at the ACC right now, and then obviously we talk about Clemson. You guys are rolling. UNC is a good football team. Like that conference is getting better. I feel like the past couple of years. Your thoughts on that conference, and have they been kind of overshadowed and overlooked, and where would you compare them to, say, an SEC right now?
Everybody just kind of overlooks the ACC just because, you know, the SEC has big time history, you know, and those teams in the SEC have been doing that stuff for 100 years. We compete with the best. We're always competitive in conference, but it just comes down to what school can recruit the best guys and develop the best guys. And I feel like Miami, me just speaking for my school, we're dang good in recruiting, and our development, Coach Feely down there is a master of developing players, especially young players. And even old dogs like me, like I was a junior when he got there, and he helped me become a better version of myself. Like that SEC development is different. Like, but now, like the playing field's even because we can recruit with the SEC and we can recruit with the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the Pac-12, you know, and we can develop our guys the same way as them. So I feel like the playing field now is even, and no conference is really truly greater than the other.
DeeJay, I appreciate taking some time. I know we're all looking forward to that game this weekend. See if Miami has a chance to knock off the big boys. But once again, thank you. Good luck the rest of the season. And tune back in. We'll be back to CampusLore Live right after this.
Huge thanks to DeeJay Dallas for joining the show. Big test for Miami this weekend, Aaron. I mean, are they for real? Who knows? But when you go up against Clemson, you're asking for a tall task. So we're going to talk about that game here in a second as we give you our picks of the week. Let's head to the first game, though, which is the top 15 matchup. Number 3, Georgia, is welcoming in number 14 ranked Tennessee. This is an SEC East battle. Both teams are undefeated. Georgia opened up as a 2-touchdown favorite. Vegas loves the dogs. They got to feel pretty good about that after a convincing victory against Auburn last weekend.
Yeah, I think Georgia needed that confidence to go in there, beat Auburn the way they did at home. This is going to be a great game, 3:30 CBS, game of the week for the SEC, and just that defense for Georgia. I mean, at every single level, it just jumps speed, and then length at the outside. I mean, they got some long cornerbacks that are going to be tough for those Tennessee receivers. But, you know, this is going to be an old school SEC game. There's a good chance of rain. Both teams want to run the football. Tennessee, with even the addition of Cade Mays offensively, is really dominant up front. I mean, at times, you're going to see 7 offensive linemen in the game. There's no question what they want to do is just run it down your throat. I just think Georgia's defense is too much. And I do worry about Tennessee's defense right now being able to stop Georgia's run game. Georgia's going to do the same thing Tennessee wants to do. run, and then play action, take some shots down the field when they get some one-on-one matchups. So I like Georgia in this one. Tennessee's improving. They're a hot football team going back to last year. They just don't have the talent just yet to match up with the Bulldogs.
Game of the week at night on Saturday or 7:30 is the top 10 matchup we just talked to DeeJay Dallas about. Number 7 ranked Miami. Undefeated Miami, led by De'Aaron King, is heading to take on the Tigers in Death Valley. Number 1 ranked Clemson Tigers, that is. Aaron, I don't know what your confidence level is here. I know a lot of people are high on Miami. You got to love the juice that they have. Manny Diaz has found his flow at head coach. Rhett Lashley unleashing De'Aaron King, but now you're running to Goliath. I don't know. This one's tough.
And who would have thought 2-3 months ago we'd be talking about this as the game of the weekend, Miami versus Clemson. But DeeJay Dallas said it, the confidence, the knowing that you have a quarterback that can go out there and make plays, that can be a leader both in the locker room and on the field, can completely transform a football team. I mean, we know it, and like I said, we discussed it with DJ as well. This team has talent. There's no question about it that Miami has talent all over the field. It's just a matter of a leader leading them in the right direction, a guy that's able to motivate them to play a little bit harder. And De'Aaron King is that guy. I just don't think it's going to be just enough to win. I think Clemson is an elite football team on both sides. Trevor Lawrence is just incredible. I mean, the throws that he can make, and it's on the road for Miami. So I like Clemson in this one, but I do think this is going to be a great football game. A lot of fireworks, a lot of excitement, a lot of great offensive plays. But Clemson is just a little bit too much for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and they've got so much depth too. Clemson does. I mean, it's 4 and 5 stars up and down that roster. People get tired, they move them back in. Let's head to the Big 12. It's the Red River rivalry, the Red River shootout, whatever you want to call it. Such a bummer. Both of these teams lost last week. Texas taking on Oklahoma in Dallas, Aaron. And Sam Ehlinger's putting up unbelievable stats. Such a letdown that Texas lost. This was their opening to kind of put their foot down and say the Big 12 is ours this year. Oklahoma coming off 2 losses.
Get your popcorn and get ready for an offensive explosion, because once again, neither defense is that dominant. This is going to be a good game, but you got to go to the quarterback position, the leadership position. Sam Ehlinger's played a lot of football. He's played well this year. Rattler for Oklahoma has been he's been a young quarterback. I mean, let's give the guy some slack here. He hasn't played a lot of football. He's still young. I just think that the lights may be a little bit too bright for him right now. So I guess I got to go with the hot hand and Ehlinger and the Texas Longhorns on this one.
Number 4 ranked Florida hitting the road to head to number 21 Texas A&M. This game, of course, is in College Station, and that Florida defense has been inconsistent. The Texas A&M offense has not been very good either. Who gets right in this game, Aaron? Is Florida on upset alert?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've both seen A&M these first 2 weeks versus Vandy last week, and then completely blown out of the water versus Alabama there. Even in the first half, the game was pretty much over. So it's just disappointing for A&M fans. I mean, they had a lot of high hopes. Kellen Mond, probably the most veteran quarterback in the SEC, or is the most veteran quarterback in the SEC. Jimbo's 3rd year of this massive contract. Improvements should have been made. Florida's going to be too much for them offensively. Kyle Trask and Pitts and Tony, I just don't know how you go in a matchup against those guys. And I think Grantham's going to be just fine on the defense side of the football. So, yeah, Florida continues going. And unfortunately for A&M, the season they thought that was going to be theirs, most likely going to be starting off 1-2.
Watch out for this game. I'm going to put Florida on upset alert. Who knows? Maybe A&M, Jimbo, and Kellen Mond can get right. It's going to be another awesome weekend of college football. We got top 10 matchups, top 15 matchups, top 25 matchups all across the country. Thank you for trusting us to get you ready for all of the action. For Aaron Murray, I'm Drew Butler. Thanks for watching CampusLore Live.